All right, welcome in, race fans. We have the Milwaukee preview for INDYCAR. Only 2 races left. We are rapidly approaching the end of the season. My name is Ryan Booth. I'm the Director of Business Operations here at Grid Rival. With me, I've got William Lottie, our Principal Software Engineer, Chase Holden, and Ben Scruggs. So we are ready to talk Milwaukee. I'll pass it off to William here.
Yeah, and we're getting down the stretch here. We've got 2 races to go in this IndyCar season, and they're both on ovals. So it'll be a change of pace from what we've had. First, let's go over Portland. Penske finally got the monkey off their back, finally found victory lane with Will Power of all people, uh, adding to the intrigue around what their lineup next year is going to look like. So, yeah, that was our last road course. Any thoughts coming out of Portland as we get down to the rest of the year?
Stay far away from Asmussen.
Yeah, yeah, Rasmussen is a hazard for sure.
I don't know. We may not like him as a driver, but he did podium at Gateway. I will say that he did podium at Gateway. He's definitely had the aggression. I'm not gonna get too deep. We'll save it. But I don't know. There are some people to stay away from this week, I would say. But yeah, I'm just excited to hear y'all's takes on this. This is Milwaukee.
I meant
Obviously,
more
we
from a
need to-
driver perspective.
Yeah.
On track,
driver-
you don't want to be
Nowhere
anywhere
near
near
him.
that guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
It's
for
like-
sure.
It's like driving on the highway behind the guy that has like a mattress tied haphazardly to the top of his minivan. You're like, I'm going to stay away from that guy.
He's got the
but yeah,
blinders, dude. He doesn't see
Yeah.
anybody around him. It's just him in his own world. That's Christian Rasmussen. This is him.
I know Connor Daly had a number of things to say about what happened at Portland. Yeah, that was just insanity. I think that was probably the most action we had at Portland. I guess Rucci binning it on the first lap was also a thing.
Hilarious thing.
It's kind of, you didn't really see that one coming. I will say, though, that little bit of a different story for Mr. Ferrucci going into this weekend. We got 2 ovals, boys. I mean, that's what I'm really excited about. We got 2 fantastic IndyCar ovals now to round things up. It makes everybody's job a little bit easier when they're building their lineups this week. You just got 2 more races to fill in your gaps, see how things are standing. I feel like that's a great way to start this week's show out. How are we all standing in the IndyCar Fantasy League now that we are down to the wire?
I can pull up where my team's at. Planning wise, first of all, since there is no tomorrow, we don't really have to worry too much about contract lengths. We can sign people up for 2 races. And if for some reason we get to Nashville, we don't want them, we can cut them. So there's that consideration. The other thing is there are certain drivers that we really want on ovals. And so we'll be looking to sign them up. And yeah, where am I standing in this league now that I filled the time? In the IndyCar Official League, I am 219th. Kind of a disappointing year for me. Ooh. And 856th globally in the global leaderboard for IndyCar.
That's
Not
the
bad.
IndyCar Official League. You're 800th?
That's my global position. In the IndyCar Official League, I am 219th.
Okay. Well, you're doing a lot better than me because I think I had a pretty bad fall off because of Portland. I am now 392nd in the IndyCar Official League. So I'm probably mathematically eliminated from winning this league now.
Yeah, I have no realistic shot either. I'm a little over 800 points out.
What about you? What about you, Ryan? Where are you at?
See you smirking.
I am 206th. So
Jesus.
not, and globally 789, which I believe puts me first in the show, which is, I think, an accomplishment because we might be the 4 best IndyCar league talkers on the planet. Maybe not best lineup makers, but we're the best at talking about it.
Now that you've said it, I'm just gonna snatch it away at the last minute at Nashville.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Where you at,
Let's
Ben?
see. You guys got me beat. I've kind of neglected my my main quote main 507 IndyCar official. So
I'm not the worst.
no,
All right. At least I'm
you
not
beat
the
me,
worst.
but I've been putting a lot more work into these $100 million lineups, and last week I made some hay. Let me tell you,
Yeah,
Graham Rahal, talent driver, 354 points. I got 874 total. So
Wow.
there's some
I'm
gems there.
feeling pretty racy right now. Yeah.
And which brings up another interesting point, especially on ovals. There are certain drivers who you would never touch that are now must-haves. And so a great lineup can be had for under $100 million. In fact, the best lineup might ends up costing under $100 million for all we know. Don't fall into that trap of feeling like you got to spend every dollar, because that
Actually,
may not get you the most points.
I'd
A
imagine that
little-
was the case last week because
Oh, absolutely. Like you want Graham Rahal, you want Callum Ilott, you want Willpower.
And I wasn't on the show last week, so I'm curious to know. Like, obviously, Ben, you talked about Graham Rahal on last week's show, right?
Yeah.
So, Graham, I would have been like, yeah, maybe that would be cool to see. But now that I think about it more, Portland is a track they've been to for a very long time. We have seen Rahal do pretty well, and I mean, he was just on the recent Speed Street episode. Awesome guy.
Great up.
Yeah, didn't get to do that interview because I was getting internet set up, unfortunately. But hearing him talk about everything he did was great for the sport. Can't wait to see what gets transpired out of that. I don't know if we'll see the Rahal team as strong over these next two races. Maybe that won't be the case. But what I do know is that, like William saying to your point, Penske finally broke through. We all can agree Willpower was probably going to be the guy that did it at this point. We've had a lot of talk about Scotty Mack, a lot of talk about Joseph Newgarden. But, I mean, is anybody surprised that Willpower was the one that did it first?
Not
If
me.
it was going to happen on a road course, it was going to be Power. If he told me it was going to be in an oval, maybe Newgarden.
I mean, Newgarden leads the series in races that should have been wins. He's got a ton of those. I think he's got 3 or 4 now, and
Gateway,
I think it'll
Iowa
probably
won.
be, it'll be no different. Probably
Indy.
probably no different in Milwaukee. I think he is the most likely winner, but we'll see. I've said that before, and then every single time I thought he was going to win, and something happened.
And we'll get to Newgarden a little bit later, but the good news is you can run him as talent driver both of these remaining races. He's at 14.8, so he's eligible this week, and even if he gains the maximum, he's eligible next week.
I mean, it's if you would have asked me what the floor of Newgarden's price would be at the very worst part of this season, I probably would have said there's no way he even falls out of talent driver territory, and he's way below that now.
He's cheaper than Connor this week.
I couldn't believe that. He's cheaper than Connor Daly. Driving for Juncos, he's cheaper than a Prima. He's cheaper than both Foyt cars. He's cheaper than both ECR cars. He's cheaper than a Rahal Letterman car.
This is Dollar Tree.
He's cheaper than Dale Coyne. We have a Dale Coyne car that's above talent. How does that work?
Yeah. Yeah. I was tempted to, we'll talk about it. I was kind of low-key tempted to look at arenas for this weekend. But with Newgarden, man, we've got Dollar Tree Newgarden right now. And I don't know if we'll ever see a Dollar Tree Newgarden again. Like if Joseph Newgarden was a stock or a cryptocurrency, and this would go into the years following, this would like be getting into Dogecoin before it hit a penny. So that's all I'm going to say.
This is Bitcoin at a couple $100.
That's right, dude. This is like finding a trading card worth 1 Bitcoin. I've been seeing that on my algorithm a lot lately, and I'm insanely jealous I didn't go to GameStop to try to buy Bitcoin trading cards.
Here's hoping we don't get rugged.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
No, I'm excited. William, are you kick us off in the tiers?
Yes. I was just about to get us into Milwaukee. So 2 races last year, only 1 this year. Winners last year were Pato Ward and Scott McLaughlin in those 2 races. Our first tier is a tier of 1 driver. That is your newly minted IndyCar champion, Alex Palou.
Yeah, I just gave him his own tier just so we could kind of talk about just how dominant he has been. I think he deserves a little bit of shine because a lot of our shows are just kind of like, Pelot, is he really good? Yeah, he's expensive. All right, good, moving on. But what he's done has just been incredible to watch. He is one of one. It's just him. He gets his own tier this week. Good for him. And this is the Jim Mora tier. Pelot has been so good this year that you're actually seeing debates online about a playoff system and if it's bad that things are decided. And Jim Mora's famous rant is playoffs. Are you kidding me? Playoffs? Yeah. So he's the Jim Mora tier. And I think we all agree there's nothing wrong with what Pelot has done. It's okay that he has the championship wrapped up. Things like this happen. This is how racing should be decided. And I think we all hate playoffs. So that we'll just get that out of the way.
Yeah, he won 7 races. That's a lot of races.
Yeah. The fact that he has been, it's almost turned into like F1 style of like, is it Pelot versus the field type of thing. It's crazy and something I never would have expected to see, but we're seeing it and he is deserved. He deserves all the praise. And yes, again, no playoffs at all, but anytime I can quote Jim Mora, like I want to do it. So there we go.
Gotta love Jim Mora. I'm a Saints fan. So, old Jim, before I was born, he was there. Just got to give a shout out to him. Great guy. Sounds like a bird. He talks like a bird. That's one thing. Yeah, I always like that about him. Also, shout out to Mike Ditka. He has nothing to do with Jim Moore, but he also coached the Saints once. And anytime I can go into Saints coach lore, I like to.
I don't recognize Ditka as anything other than the Bears.
The Bears. For sure. I mean, he did marry Ricky Williams on the cover of ESPN magazine, so never forget that. And if you don't know what that is, look it up. It's one of the great. I have it framed somewhere. I gotta go find it. I'm gonna put that up on my wall with all my racing stuff where it makes no sense eventually. But I just want to say about Alex Pelot. He has the opportunity to do something. Reasons to still watch. If he wins 2 more races, he'll be at 10. He has won 8 this year. So if he wins 2 more, he'll be at 10. And if he wins 10 races, he ties AJ Foyt for the most wins in a single season in history, which is something that is not to be taken lightly, especially if you're an IndyCar fan, especially if you've been into the sport for a long time. Will we ever see this kind of thing repeated? I mean, if AJ Foyt only did it, once, I don't know. So it's like the appreciation for 2025 should be at all-time highs. And I think more and more people are starting to notice that. So will Alex Pelot be somebody that we put in lineups this week? If so, he probably already is in your lineup. You've probably already locked him in all the way through, or at least I would hope so. I don't know if I'm buying at all at this point. I think you have a way better shot at trying to put together some other runs with other guys.
11 podiums by my count. He should be the champion for sure. 27.4 million, the price tag, by the way, down just a tick from Port wins with third place finish there. Milwaukee last year, first race he was 5th. Second race he had a fast car. Unfortunately, the battery was dead, and so he started the race a number of laps behind everyone. But he had a fast car there as well. So historically, puts up competitive results at Milwaukee. If you have the money to spare, he may not be a bad choice. Like if you're perfectly happy with everyone, your other 5 drivers. But yes, as Chase said, you may actually get more bang for your buck going down the order. The problem with being up top in this game is that you have to keep producing to have a reasonable fantasy day. Pelot is not somebody who's going to be getting you a bunch of improvement points, for example, because his average finish is so high as it is.
And I think this is a good spot to touch on it. This is overarching essentially for everything going into lineup construction these last 2 races. We spent a lot of time talking about value and bang for your buck. That kind of goes out the window here. There's 2 races left. I don't care about price tags. I don't care about getting discounts. I mean, obviously you have to fit it into what your team budget is. That's really the only constraint. I am not trying to increase my team value. I purely want points. I will have no qualms about paying release fees. It's just points. And Alex Pelot is going to get you points. If you can afford him, he's worth rostering. I do think the one thing that's different, we talked about Pelot, I think having a really high floor as he was chasing down the championship. Now that's locked in. he's probably just going to do everything he can to win, whether that's do an off strategy, whatever it is. He's like, he wants to win the race. He doesn't really care if he finishes second or third. He's got it all locked up. So that high floor probably goes down a little bit. Ceiling probably goes up, but it's Alex Palou in an IndyCar. Like, you can trust him.
I don't know. I think that money is definitely better spent elsewhere at this point in the season. I mean, as dominant as Palou is, and he is super dominant, he's got one super speedway win at Indy and one short oval win at Iowa. So he makes his bones on the road and street courses. So
I think I think if it's when we talk about $100 million lineups later, I don't think he'll ever find his way into a $100 million lineup. But if you're sitting at 115, 120, you're probably at the top of your league. You're doing well. You can find a way to roster him and feel very good about it. But yes, if you only had $100 million, I don't think he's ever making that lineup.
It's worth pointing out those 2 oval wins did come this year.
True. That's 2 more than a lot of guys.
He's going to be going after the history. I'm telling you, he's that kind of guy that's very sentimental to him. I feel like anybody would be an idiot to get as far as he has and not go for that 10. So don't give up on Alex. I hope you got him earlier. But as we all say here, if you haven't got him in your lineup right now, I'm sorry, don't waste your time.
Yeah, I wouldn't dream of dropping him, but I'm not adding him either.
All right, so moving on from the Alex Palou Love Fest, on to the next tier, which consists of Scott Dixon, Pato Award, Colton Herta, and Will Power, ranging from 23.7 to 21.3 million. Award, the biggest loser last week with the electrical problem, down 2 million. Dixon only managed 11th place, also took a loss of over $1 million. Will Power winning, up 1.6 million. So some comers and goers in this tier. And what do we call this tier?
Well, being in Wisconsin, these are your Northwoods dive bar regulars. These 4 have been consistently up at the top all year. You kind of know what you're going to expect from them. They're always going to be good. They're always there. They're just a staple at the bar. They never miss a meat raffle. They're playing pull tabs and they're drinking their Busch Heavies. So those are the guys you can walk into the dive bar and you'll always see them up there in the Northwoods.
All right. And in this tier, what are our thoughts? Who are we taking? Who are we avoiding?
There's a lot of gold in this tier. I think back to what I just said about not taking Palou. If I could take an extra one of these guys, even if I've got $150 million to play with, I think I'm loading up on this tier and sitting Palou for a week. Dixon came out of nowhere, got second in race 2 last year. Where did he finish?
10th place.
10th place. Yeah. Nothing to shake a stick at. But I mean, he always finds a way to win. I think race 2 was kind of a strategy call. I believe they were sort of on the 3-stopper. No surprise, stretching fuel. But that kind of went out the window later in the race. There are tons of yellows. So guys were pitting just to take fresh tires. So you ended up with 6 and 5 pit stops, having nothing to do with actual mileage, just to get that tire advantage. That said, this is 100% a tire deg race. So that's still a strength for Scott, but obviously his main strength is fuel save racing. So I did not pick him up on either of my teams, but I did jump on Colton Herta. Herta kind of had some misfortune last year. He was still able to pull out a 3rd in race 2. Race 1 lost a wheel. Again, how many times have we talked about this? His pit crew, for whatever reason, is just snake bit. So I think if you get a solid day out of your pit crew, no mistakes, I think he's got a car to win. Will Power, I wish I hadn't skipped Will Power, but I did. 10th in race 2, second race 1, coming off a win last week. I think he's kind of proved his point with the win last week. Doesn't look like he's coming back to Penske, but I think he shut up a lot of haters, a lot of detractors going into this week. So I don't think he needs it as much as I would have thought he would have 2 weeks ago. But he's always a threat. Not quite the oval specialist as his teammates are, but never count him out.
Yeah, I'll follow up with that. I definitely can't count out Will Power. Will Power is one of my top plays this week. I think that after his finish, he did get a podium here. He finished 10th in the second race after starting 4th. I feel like he'll continue to try to just be as dominant as he possibly can be, because he kind of knows that he's got the team on his back right now, or at least that's the way that the optics have been. And aside from all the drama of where will he go, what will he do, there's still that driver in him at the end of the day. And I feel like when you get older and you're at these types of tracks, the same thing you can say for Dixon. You have something to prove. You want to make sure people know you still got that dog in you. And I think Power will be able to shine, especially after the win. Anytime a team gets a win, that usually means money. That usually means you can use that money to do things for the following race. At least that's how it works in NASCAR, it seems. You get a really bad team win a race. They end up doing good for like 4 races, and they start falling off again. So that's kind of been the way that I've always looked at it. So that's why I like him this week. Colton Herta, I feel like with the year that we've had, the results aren't strong enough from last season for me to want to kind of bite on that when I can get Power at 21-3, where he's had a little bit more of a stronger showing. Pato O'Ward, tough, but can always come back and win this thing. So he's not a bad play either. We know what he can do on ovals. He does have a win, not on an oval this year, but you don't ever want to come out of a situation like that and not be able to show up at some point. We also have Nashville coming too. So one of these races could easily fall in his hands. And then with Dixon, I just feel like the price is he's definitely on the higher side. I want to try to keep it as low as possible with one of my top guys this week, so I can stack up a little bit more in the rest of these tiers down.
I currently have Dixon signed, but depending on practice, I am very open to the idea of cutting him and taking one of these other guys. On an oval, I tend to lean towards Colton Herta. That said, Power is very hungry. He's driving for his career, and I think he still has that in him. And so I think Power is going to be a factor. Pato O'Ward, kind of weird spot. He won the first race last year. He won the first Milwaukee race. We haven't said a whole lot about him. I think the question is, do we think McLaren's going to get their act together again? I know some people have O'Ward. I think I like some of these cheaper drivers a bit better, just to be able to fill out a lineup as we go down the order. We'll see. Like, particularly when we get to the $100 million lineups, I think that extra million might be better spent elsewhere. But I don't hate taking O'Ward.
To your point about McLaren, though, I'll just say when we get to our next tier, I think there might be a McLaren driver there that might be pretty interesting.
Ooh.
Yeah, small sample size. Obviously, we didn't run Milwaukee for 9 years. Last year's our first time back. Ran 2 races, but in race 2, had 2 of the McLaren cars go out early with mechanicals. So, for whatever reason in race 2, Chevys seemed to be plagued with gearbox issues. And then a couple Hondas had electrical gremlins that would later get sorted out, namely Pelot. I don't know that I have the confidence in McLaren, particularly at a short oval. I mean, you did have, Pato going big in Iowa, but I'm not sure. That team's still kind of split. Lundgaard is kind of 1A. Pato and Lundgaard are kind of 1A and 1B now, so. Maybe some of the engineering decisions are not always favoring Pato. I don't think he's a slam dunk. And, if teammate points are important to you, that's having 2 guys performing as well as they are does kind of split that. So something to think about.
I think I can tell I'm gonna disagree with Chase and Ben about this next McLaren driver coming up, because one of the reasons I like Pato is I think he's going to be far and away the best McLaren. I think he's going to score teammate points, whereas I don't think you're going to get that with Dixon and Power, because I actually think Power's teammates will both be better than him. I think you will get teammate points with Herta. Herta should be strong here. I have no reason to believe he won't be, and I think he's by far the best Andretti. But yeah, I think Lundgaard and Pato are that 1A, 1B on road courses. But I think when we get to ovals, for me, it's Pato and then a pretty big gap between him and his teammates. So that's another reason I like Pato at these ovals.
I just had a look at the championship standings. Award is fairly solidly in second place right now, whereas Lundgaard is in a fight for as high as third, and he could also fall a couple of spots if things don't go the right way. If we're talking about who might get the preferential treatment, one of them is in more of a fight than the other right now, point-wise.
Lundgaard got 9th and 12th last year in a Rahal car, which is, pretty well understood to be a step down from a McLaren car. So, I don't think the gap is that big, but I'll give you that. And I do agree with you on the Andretti. Herta is head and shoulders above his teammates at Andretti, and that's another reason why he's my pick out of this tier.
Yeah, Herta definitely my top choice. For me, it's like Herta, then Power, then Award, and I have Dixon signed now. There's a decent chance I cut him, but I'm not enthusiastic about Dixon. Anything else before we head to the next tier?
Let's roll into the Lundgaard discussion.
Yes, Christian Lundgaard just 100,000 below Power. He could have been in this upper tier, but as it is, Christian Lundgaard, Marcus Armstrong, Rinus VeeKay, Scott McLaughlin, and Kyle Kirkwood, and ranging from 21.2 to 18.2 million. Kirkwood down 1.3. McLaughlin and Lundgaard both up $1 million plus this past week. And which tier is this?
The McRib is back tier. Scotty Mack back above the talent driver line. He has fought his way up there, somewhere we thought he'd be all year, but obviously not the case. Will this become a permanent menu item? Will it be discontinued again? Who knows? But Scotty Mack, the McRib, back in talent or a non-talent driver territory.
I like that.
Can I just say something? If the McRib is a permanent item, no one is buying it.
I don't know, dude. Have you checked out nacho fries at Taco Bell? Because it's great that they're always there. I will say that. Okay.
I mean, there's plenty of old standbys at McDonald's.
There are. I just want the Monopoly game to come back to McDonald's. That's what I care about the most. I just like ripping off pieces of plastic off my fry box, dude. Miss it. But I want to just kick us off. I'm going to keep it very short and sweet. It's Lundgaard for me because of what we saw him do in Rahal equipment on an oval. It's kind of ungodly in a way with what he was able to accomplish. And I'm going to turn it over to you guys after this. I don't really care to speak much about anybody else. I think Scotty Mack, I'll quickly say this. I think Scotty Mack has a decent shot at this, especially getting bit by the bug with Will Power getting a win. Everybody else in here, I think, can have decent finishes, but nothing that really stands out. But here's what stands out. Christian Lundgaard started 26th in race 1, and he finished in 9th. In race 2, in Rahal Letterman Lanigan car, he started 25th and finished 12th. Mic drop. And that's all I have to say. I like him.
Yeah. That first race, as I recall, had a fair amount of chaos, but yeah, that is quite the drive.
Second race was pretty chaotic. I thought
they were both chaotic. Let's be honest; they were kind of chaotic races. But that's a lot of spots. He managed well.
So for me, like I would say, my pecking order is McLaughlin, and then Kirkwood if they unload well, and then Lundgaard in that order. Probably Kirkwood and Lundgaard neck and neck. Again, we have no practice times, so this could all go out the window. But Kirkwood, he has shown up on ovals, and Andretti has shown up on ovals, so we can't count that. We can't count them out. I cannot talk today. I've got a case of the Fridays. Armstrong and VeeKay, I'm not so interested in. Again, the classic. There's better choices like in the talent driver tier. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I kept it pretty simple at this tier. It's Scotty Mack. I, he's great. I think he'll finish on the podium. I think two Penske's finished on the podium. As we have said, there's no shade thrown at Christian Lundgaard. He's an incredibly capable driver. He is very good. I just think Pato is much better on ovals in general. So I shade towards Pato over Lundgaard. I don't think Lundgaard will find a way into any lineups, and I don't think anyone else in this tier will either, but I will have Scotty Mack in every single lineup I have.
I'm big on Scotty Mack. I mean, obviously he won race 2 last year. 8th place from pole, race 1, you know. Yeah, it's interesting, man. To have Penske's this cheap. I think you gotta kind of ignore the curse. I think we've kind of disproven the curse. I think it's, they've had top tier, top either they've been the top 3 oval cars all year, or they've been at least in the top 10 as far as actual pace. And then just things have not gone right for them. So, I think Newgarden is certainly the top tier oval driver of the 3. But I think Scotty is Scotty and Will, for that matter, are very close behind. I think, it's pretty crazy not to run Scotty, in my opinion. And as far as Kyle Kirkwood, obviously Gateway was huge for him, but I still see him as being, a step or 2 behind Hurt on ovals. So, for that reason, I'm not really interested in running him. Something could go wild on Saturday that changes that opinion, and Sunday might change my opinion for Nashville. But as of right now, Herta is definitely your top tier Andretti pick.
Other thoughts about this tier before we head into talent driver territory?
Yeah, I'm over the Penske curse. I don't believe in curses. I believe in speed. I'm all in on Penske this week, which I've said that a lot of times, and it's never worked for me.
I'm going to play Christian Lundgaard, and when you're all upset, just come talk to me.
All right? Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we shall see. That's why they run the races. All right, into talent driver territory we go, and we have Graham Rahal, Alexander Rossi, Santino Ferrucci, Christian Rasmussen, and Felix Rosenqvist, ranging between 17.8 and 15.8 million. Ferrucci, our big loser out of this tier last week, having the lap 1 crash. And our big winners, Graham Rahal and Alexander Rossi, both getting top 5s. First one of the year for Rossi. I'm not sure about Rahal, if that's his first or not, but definitely outperforming where we've seen them most of the year. And what do we call this tier?
Well, we have a lot of R's in this tier with Rahal, Rossi, Ferrucci, Rasmussen, Rosenqvist. So this is the jump around tier. Anyone who watches college football knows that the University of Wisconsin does jump around heading into the 4th quarter. These guys have been jumping all around the standings. So here we are, the jump around tier.
AKA the Cypress Hill tier. We'll say that for the ones who know.
You can save an R by dropping the R off Rasmussen. I've been calling him Asmussen for a full 2 weeks now.
The R is silent. And sorry, it was not Cypress Hill, it was House of Pain. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I heard a not so politically correct nickname for him, like on some other YouTube channel recently, and like Rasmussen's a menace.
It's
calling him a demon.
It's a good one, and I've been trying to replace that one with something a little more palatable, and but yeah, best I can do is Asmussen.
He's got Gen Z stare. He's got Gen Z stare real hard. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with the trend of Gen Z stare, or if you know what that means. Like the stare that like Gen Z will give you, like you'll talk to them, and they'll just look at you.
I'm not with it. I guess.
How many Gen Z people are you interacting with?
Well, I
on a
mean,
daily basis.
this is all millennials that talk about Gen Z stare on my feeds, on my algorithms I've been seeing. So I've been really coming into touch with it. So I've been analyzing all the Gen Z drivers that are in IndyCar, and he definitely has the coldest Gen Z stare out of all of them. So that kind of adds up. So if you don't know what Gen Z stare is, and stare, I mean like staring with your eyes, not like a staircase. So make sure you look that up when you leave this show. But we can all agree, very aggressive driving. I don't think anybody really cares for the style of his driving and what he does, especially on the track. A lot of people are angry with him. However, can't really ignore what he did at Gateway. Can't really ignore some of the finishes he's had this year. He has found his way to some really good place differential potential, which I have to kind of put my emotions at the door, especially with me doing a show with Connor. I really put my emotions at the door because I like him this week, and he is definitely a banger bust. He could completely ruin your day, or he's going to do what he's done a little bit more this year, where he's gotten you some solid results. I like him at 16.6. Think he makes good if you're willing to roll the dice on there. He's been decent at ovals, and I think that we can see that continue. But my big play out of this tier has to be Santino Ferrucci. You could easily say he's another one of those roll the dice kind of guys, but at 16.7, 2 fourth place finishes here last year. That is ultra consistency. They're carrying that data over. They only got one run at this time. I think that he'll have a little bit more patience. He'll be a little bit more careful. He knows what he's capable of on ovals. I really think we can see Ferrucci have a great day. So if you don't want to play Rasmussen because of your personal biases, I completely understand. That's fine. I'm going to roll the dice with him, and I'm also going to have Ferrucci. So call it a double dice roll if you will. But those are really the only two guys I like out of here. I would say Rossi. I just haven't seen it this year. With him, Ray Hall, haven't really seen on the ovals. Rosenquist could probably be the more safer, stable play. If you want to be safe, I don't have the opportunity to play it safe where I'm at in this league. So I'm rolling the dice big with Asmussen, as Ben calls him, and Ferrucci, a.k.a. the Rooster.
So you don't seem like a guy that plays it safe ever.
No,
So
not
I think
really.
you are the gambler.
I have a hard time playing it safe.
Yeah,
I've seen people play it safe, and it didn't work out for them.
Yeah.
So I like to roll the dice.
I'll just jump in here because my takes piggyback off Chase, and I can keep it pretty short and sweet. Those are also the only two guys I like in this tier. Ferrucci was really strong last year. I think he'll be good here. You're kind of getting him at a discount as well. And then with Rasmussen, we've been calling him the demon all year. I actually really like him. I hope he doesn't qualify well because I would love to see him start at the back, pick up overtake points with his driving style. Whereas I'm a little weary if he qualifies well, like let's say he qualifies like 5th or 6th, there's a high possibility that he DNFs, gets into an incident, has an issue, finishes way behind where he was. And I think his ceiling really is maybe 5th, 6th place. I can't see him going that much higher, especially if the Penske stay on the track. But I would love for Rasmussen to qualify, 20th, 21st, and maybe put together a 7th or 8th place finish. And yeah, that's what I'm hoping for there, but he'll definitely be on the roster.
So I've only got room in my yard to bury one hatchet this week, and I'm doing it for Ferrucci. So, yeah, I don't think you can ignore what Ferrucci did 4th in both races last year, from not great starting positions, 12th and 19th. So he made hay, not as much as Connor Daly, but he was a moving and shaking. So I think, yeah, if there's one track on this schedule that you kind of have to run Ferrucci, despite whatever you think about him, this is it. So I'm running him. No apologies necessary. But yeah, Rasmussen, people forget, yeah, he was great at Gateway. Yeah, he was pretty good at Iowa. I've got a bunch of radio transcripts from Iowa, and about half of all radio transmissions are warning their drivers, hey, Rasmussen's behind you. Hey, you're coming up on Rasmussen. There's no telling what he's going to do. Be careful. So
See, and
that
that's my point, Ben. Because like I'm like, it's gonna go one or two ways. He's had enough time now to where someone is either going to just not have any patience with him, and there may be a good bit of drivers in the field that don't have patience. That's the one thing that worries me, Ryan, about him starting in the back, because if he is working his way up, some of these guys may just be like, I'm done with you. And then we might see some bumps and it might completely end his day. So I think if he at least can qualify in the top 10, there may be a little bit more room where he can kind of hold position. But I do think we're going to see some of these guys maybe run a little bit out of patience with Rasmussen. So I will say that maybe is the only big concern and why Ferrucci is the best play out of this entire tier as far as if you're going to roll the dice.
Yeah, and there's always that risk, you're running back with the squirrels will get your nuts busted, but it's especially worse when the other squirrels are upset with you. So
and even the squirrels in
is,
the high time, like up
Yeah.
in the front, like they're kind of over it too. So
yeah, it's not just squirrels, it's chipmunks too. He's
Yeah.
got everybody mad at him. So, guys with the skill to not ruin their own race, but chop down, take the air off him, somebody's gonna regulate. I think.
Out of this tier, I've got to say, I've been waiting to say this the entire year. I want Rossi in my lineup. Top 10 both races last year in a McLaren, granted not an ECR. Finally got a top 5 this past week. Between him and his teammate, I trust Rossi a lot more to keep his car in one piece. Like I don't see Rasmussen getting through the race in one piece this week. Between half the grid hating him and less room for error on an oval where there's walls all over the place. So I like Rossi. I hope the practice times justify my faith in Rossi. It may be short-lived faith. I also really like Ferrucci. He's had some incidents in the past, but he has been delivering on ovals recently. 4th place at both Milwaukee races last year. So those are the two guys I'm taking out of this tier. I'm not interested in Ray Hall. I'm not really interested in Rosenquist with some better options in the next tier. And, well, we've beaten Rasmussen to death, and somebody might beat him to death after the race. Depending, we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. So those are my thoughts on the tier. Ready for the next one?
let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got David Malukas, Kellum, Iowa, Connor Daly, Joseph Newgarden, and Kevin Simpson between 15.5, 14.5 million. Iowa did not run Iowa, Milwaukee last year. He is up 2 million on the heels of a 6th place last time out at Portland. Connor Daly, Joseph Newgarden, Kevin Simpson, all somewhat significant losers from Portland, having various problems there. What do we call this tier?
This is the Ovaltine tier. All these prices are in the teens. You got a lot of good oval guys here. Ovaltine is a milk flavoring product. And what do you get to drink when you win the biggest oval race of the year? Milk. So it all kind of
Makes
fits in
sense.
together.
That'd be wild if somebody had like a little packet of Ovaltine and just dumped it in the bottle and shook it up.
You
Victory
should get
lane.
like cryptic messages.
I think that would get
I
you
love-
deported.
Drink
Well,
your Ovaltine.
Drink more Ovaltine.
For those who remember, Emerson Fittipaldi, who famously owned an orange orchard in Brazil, he substituted orange juice for the milk and
Sacrilegious.
was just about murdered in the parking lot after that. So
I believe it. I would
Rightfully
too.
so.
Was he lactose?
no, he was just trying to promote his orange orchard.
He should have told
it
everybody
made
he was
sense,
lactose.
but yeah, he apologized. He regrets it, but
I would have said I'm
So-
lactose intolerant.
There were 2 must signs out of this tier, and those would be Joseph Newgarden and Connor Daly. Daly, a consistent performer on ovals, finished 3rd last year as a last minute situation getting into that car. Partially earns him that full-time seat this year. And Joseph Newgarden has had a cursed season, should have won a few races, most of which were on ovals. His improvement index is 19, Daly's is 16th. So lots and lots of room for improvement points with both of these guys. So proven oval performers at a discount. Lots of improvement point potential. I like the 2 of them the best. Could consider Malukas if he practices well. Could consider even Iwat if he practices well. Like he's got a bit of experience by now, but definitely Daly, Newgarden, those are the guys to have.
Yeah. I think I agree. Newgarden and Daly are must roster guys. I would add Malukas to the list. I will have all three of those on my team. And I think it's pretty easy to just say Newgarden is the talent driver, regardless of what happens.
And for me, it's either him or Daly. Very likely Newgarden.
I think
Newgarden-
outside of Indy, I haven't really been impressed with Malukas this year. And I think he's kind of feeling the pressure. There's a lot of negative talk around him, essentially seems to be taking Will Power's seat next year and not exactly on merit. So, it's hard to kind of view what he's doing positively. So I think if anybody's feeling some pressure to perform, it's probably him. But yeah, 100%. Connor Daly, ship it. He's to the moon. You guys know how I like to simulate what Grid Rival scores would have taken place if they'd been live last year. Connor would have scored 191 points in race 1.
That's
going
a lot.
from 25th to 3rd. That's wild.
It's not easy. Not an easy thing to do whatsoever.
Nice talent driver day.
I will say the one thing with Connor is easily the best play out of this tier because of what we know that he's capable of. However, a whole entire year has now passed where the biggest sauce Connor was able to lay down, not only his oval expertise, but ripping that high line. You're going to have a lot more guys doing exactly what Connor was trying to do. Now, whether they can do it as good as Connor can is the difference maker, because Connor can do that. Like, it's just natural to him. It's muscle memory. A lot of these other guys that aren't as well on the ovals, they might not be able to hold those kind of lines as well or run that consistently as he can. With Joseph, the one thing, I feel like things started taking a downward turn for Joseph last season at this race because he had contact in both of them and he had 2 bad finishes. Did qualify well. But I'm going to go ahead and say, like, if you're not going to, at least if you're not in if you're in a spot where maybe you're not going to win win the big tournament or whatever, or if you're in an area where, like, in your league you have a shot, you got to roll it with Joseph. I mean, you have to roll the dice here, but I still stand firmly by what I've said on the last few shows I've been on. Joseph Newgarden has become a dice roll, and you have to kind of keep that mentality going in here with it, especially if you're looking at the results from last season. I kind of feel like somebody like Kiffin Simpson at 14.5 may surprise some people. Am I taking him personally? No, I have other guys I have in my lineup, but if I have this weird gut feeling that Kiffin may surprise some people. Last year, Linus Lundqvist was in his car. He had a decent finish. I don't know if Kiffin has the same oval ability as Linus Lundqvist did, but we know that the cars with Chip Ganassi have what it takes to do well at pretty much any track. So maybe keep an eye out for Kiffin, and maybe if you want to get a little different, be a little contrarian, go with Simpson as well. But you have to have Connor. That's just the way I look at it. Like, Connor's going to be pretty much owned by everybody. I feel like everyone's going to have Connor in their lineup this week.
I fully believe Joseph would have won race 2 last year had he not been punted by Linus Lundqvist.
True.
And honestly, it's hard to even blame Linus Lundqvist. I blame that on race control. I mean, because they waved off that restart way late, and one guy out of 27 didn't get the memo and just punts his teammate, punts Newgarden, ends his day. And race 1 wasn't his fault either. He was, you could make an argument, but really he was making a pass on Marcus Ericsson. Marcus Ericsson is in like lane 1.5 for some reason and just decides he absolutely will not move down the track to make this work and takes them both out. So
it's tight.
Yeah. So to say, I think this track really plays to Joseph's strengths. This is, kind of the new Iowa for him, or could be, if other people don't ruin it for him. So I think he's must play for me.
Yep. Anyone's race can get ruined, but it's Joseph Newgarden and it's INDYCAR and it's an oval. So
Yeah.
he's in the lineup. No questions about it.
No curse. Curse isn't real.
Yeah.
Nope.
I don't believe in it.
So we'll real quick run through the remaining drivers. Robert Schwartzman, Marcus Ericsson, Nolan Siegel, Stingray Robb, Willie Foster, Devlin DeFrancesco, and Jacob Abel from 14 to 8.3 million. Robb, Foster, and Schwartzman all gaining last week. Ericsson losing about $1 million last week. What do we call this tier?
This is the beer mile tier. So we're in Milwaukee mile, lots of beer mile. These guys are going to go slow. You're going to want to puke. It's just, I just don't think they're not really players this week.
My take real quick, maybe Ericsson, he's shown up at ovals sometimes. I'm not touching anybody else, especially in a world where we can have Connor Daly and Joseph Newgarden at a very reasonable price. There's really no reason to touch this tier. Unless you want to gamble on Ericsson.
The bargain bin, what you usually have to dive into almost every week, you almost don't need to this week because a lot of the big players have such depressed prices. When I was doing $100 million lineups, I was like, wow, I don't even need anyone from this tier at all, which was different from the rest of the season. But I just think there's really no one that fits in.
Yeah, I'll say to build the lineup that I had, I did have to go to one of these guys. I ended up choosing the guy at the very bottom, and it's the biggest gamble of my life. I don't know how it's going to play out, but he is in a very sexy race car this weekend. I don't know if any of you guys have seen Jacob Abel is running the Miller Lite paint scheme. A lot of people were confused because when you see a brand like that on a car, you're usually thinking like that thing's going to be up front. And there's not a lot of people that have the hope that Jacob Abel can run that car up front. But just the fact that that car will be on track, like we literally have like a Rusty Wallace-esque IndyCar running. And I love that. I feel like, and I know Jacob, I know his headspace, his mentality. I mean, he really does give it all he's got. For him to be having this much light on him this week, I feel like maybe it's going to bring out a little something different in him. Is he going to be the best play of the week? No. Is he going to get the best finish in this race? I don't think so. But if you're stacking heavy with the higher salary guys and you have to go somewhere here, there's really nobody you want for this race. So you might as well just go to the bottom. And that's the way I kind of looked at it here as well, because I'm with you guys. There's really no one here that gives me any type of feeling at
Improvement
all.
index of 22 for Abel, by the way. So if he keeps the car in one piece and other people don't, there's free points right there.
Yeah, a lot of chaos at these races. Remember, if he can just play
attrition.
it safe in the back, that could be a lot of attrition. So
couple of minutes left. Anybody else with thoughts about this tier before we go into lineups?
Miller livery didn't work very well for Abel at Indy. He got bumped in a Miller High Life car.
He didn't crash.
That is High Life.
This is light, so it's maybe lighter. Could be a sign.
He could end up with the two worst finishing cars that sell out as die casts. It's wild.
All right. So on to $100 million lineups. But first, for those of you who didn't see yesterday, Will Buxton, the play-by-play guy for IndyCar on Fox, tweeted out his grid rival lineup, and I've screenshotted that, and we can take a look at that real quick. This is a $100.1 million lineup, so it won't quite fit your $100 million lineup. And a couple of caveats here. First of all, we see 5 new drivers on this lineup. So he has 5 guys on lockout. I have no idea who those 5 drivers are, but there are going to be 5 drivers on lockout. This might not be his ideal choice. Pato O'Ward has a race left, so maybe he decides to cut O'Ward if he doesn't like O'Ward tomorrow. I don't know. But here's his lineup. He's got O'Ward, Ferrucci, Rasmussen, Malukas, Daly, and Newgarden talent driver, just like we were talking about. Pretty solid lineup, I've got to say. Like we'll debate Rasmussen. I don't know if he had better options or not. He definitely has the money to spare. It looks like he's had himself a decent season. You look at his team value, his bank. This is also an example, like, don't spend every dollar necessarily. This is a really solid lineup. This could be one of the best lineups this week across the game.
Yeah.
And it costs 100.1 million. Thoughts on this lineup?
I'm going to give Buxton the benefit of the doubt here. I don't think he ran into any lockout issues. I think he was just very smart with the schedule and had guys rolling off after all the road courses were done, because he knew the last two were ovals and he wanted to save those spots for oval guys. And that looks like exactly what he did. And this is
this is
extremely
an oval guy
similar to what I
lineup.
would build. Yeah, this is. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Will Buxton seems to know the sport extremely well. I would say he looks very smart right now, and this is a very good lineup.
Like, maybe we trade Rasmussen, or I'm sorry, like maybe we trade Rasmussen or award for an Andretti driver down the line. Sorry to cut you off, Chase.
No, I was just saying this is a Bill Buxton lineup. This isn't a Will Buxton lineup. This is a Bill Buxton. I feel like this is a guy named Bill Buxton made this because of just how oval heavy it is. It just looks like a supervillain arc lineup to me. I don't know how else to put it. Maybe it's just Ferrucci and Rasmussen there, but it when I saw him tweet this out, I was thoroughly impressed because I was like, damn, I did not know that Willie B had game like this. And so it's cool to see that he's got some of the guys I definitely have in my lineup here. And it's not bad whatsoever, especially if you look at Malukas to be kind of like the wild card. But other than that, I mean, this is the sexiest oval lineup I think you could possibly put together.
I made the joke on Twitter when I saw this that this is my dream brunch crew.
Yeah,
having Ferrucci, Rasmussen, and Daly all at the same table. That'd be a spicy brunch. But
Bill Jr. would love it.
Yeah, me and him both. But yeah, I don't trust Rasmussen here. Having Ferrucci and Rasmussen is bold, very bold. But hey, you know, he knows wheel, man. He gets paid a lot of money, and part of that is doing more. He's one of the few people who does more research on this than we do. So, you know, kudos to him. This is solid.
Yeah, swing for the fences. All right, so into. Did I stop presenting? I think so. Good.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, so into our $100 million lineups, just running back my Portland lineup real quick. I had Herta, McLaughlin, Talent Driver, Newgarden, Rahal, Rosenquist, and Ilott. I got 818 points out of that. I wish I would have had Ilott Talent Driver, but, you know, or Rahal for that matter.
Rahal was a play.
Yeah, both better plays than McLaughlin. And this week I've got McLaughlin again. I've got Ferrucci, Rossi, Malukas, Daly, Newgarden Talent Driver. That's a total of 97 million. And depending on practice, we could play with this. So we got the wiggle room. We got $3 million left. Like, let's say Malukas doesn't look good. We can come down to Erickson. We could move up and take, God forbid, Rasmussen, or maybe Rosenquist surprises us. You could go as high up as Kyle Kirkwood if maybe you don't like Malukas. So still some options there. And yeah, that's what I've got. How about you guys?
For 99.1, I've got Herta, McLaughlin, Ferrucci, Daly Talent Driver, Newgarden, and Erickson. And probably the biggest debate within myself, and I'm sure you guys are in the same boat, Newgarden or Daly Talent Driver. That's been weighing on me. I may flip-flop that before Sunday. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, they're both viable choices. I went with Newgarden, breaking the tie simply by slightly more potential to win and slightly lower improvement index. So better chance at max improvement points from Newgarden.
See, that 191 score theoretically from race one last year, I got to go with Daly.
Yeah, the 99.1 salary point is hilarious because that's how much mine cost too, Ben. I have Will Power, Christian Lundgaard, Santino Ferrucci, Christian Rasmussen, Connor Daly as talent driver, and Jacob Abel at the end, right at 99.1.
Oh, wow. Mine is, we have a lot of the same names. I'm 96.9. Newgarden, Rasmussen, Ferrucci, Malukas, Daly, and McLaughlin. And Newgarden talent driver.
Thought so. All right. And that puts us at the top of the hour. Thank you all so much for watching. hit like if you've enjoyed this, subscribe, get notifications every time we do one of these shows. We've got one more show ahead of one more IndyCar show, at least ahead of next week's finale at Nashville. And hope you all join us for that then. F1 coming back next week as well. We do a show going into every F1 weekend as well on this channel. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Anything else to say before we go?
Don't miss practice. 11 o'clock.
Don't miss practice.
Fox
11
One
o'clock.
has just launched yesterday, so no more excuses for people
Stream
who don't
it.
have antennas. You can stream it.
Yep.
You could always stream it for free, but I'm not going to get into that. But
Yeah.
Fox One.
I'm going to stream on Sunday. I mean, on Sunday, if you're following me, I think it's probably going to be on YouTube unless Twitch gets back to me and lets me back into my account because I changed my phone number without changing 2FA. So that's pain. I have to wait on them to get back. But if you do want to follow along for an IndyCar watch party, you can check me out on YouTube at Garage Guy Chase. And that's probably where I'll be running the live stream through the whole race. So it'd be like me broadcasting. So come join. It'll be fun.
Might have to jump in that chat on Sunday. Sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
And Sunday is for IndyCar. There's nothing else going on. NASCAR
Yeah,
will
that's
be
the
Saturday
only
night.
big time racing that we've got happening.
1 million+ views. Have to hit over 1 million for this one. Let's do
Hopefully
it.
no Live Golf.
Yeah, here's hoping golf doesn't run long.
Get this in on time.
They invaded Indy this week.
Not a problem if you're on Fox One because it'll
Right.
start. It'll start when it starts.
That's
Yeah.
it.
All right. So on that note, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
All right. We are ended on YouTube. Stop the recording and
All right.